So then, we are back with the modern understandings from the Renewed Covenant, from the Aramaic English translation of the Scriptures. And the camps are the utmost importance during this time. We are entering in Revelation, and the facts and the political situation that we are in is showing truly the end of a period and a transition into another period. The time of deceit is ending, and we are preparing ourselves for the entrance of Revelation. There are many aspects regarding it, and the very evident part of this transition is related with the weather. And there are many areas in our own country experiencing high temperatures, very unusual. Most of them never were experienced before in this level. And the situation is the indication of the Scriptures. They are there for us so we can prepare ourselves. So then we begin to read the understandings from the Shaliach Shaul. He gives us a very important topic regarding then the services that were then transitioned from the first service into the second service. And the entire Megillah of the Hebrews is the perfect example of the transitional time where people, those saved by faith in the Mashiach, then they live by faith. So then, the proper understanding of the Scriptures reads as such: those then who are practicing justice shall then live by faith. So this is what it means. And then the Scriptures also gives us other areas, and these areas are found mostly in the 7th chapter of then Hebrews. So then it takes a huge weight from our backs regarding the Torah and the prophets and the holy laws. Those areas of the Torah and the prophets and the writings, those were designed for people only in the camp. So then when we read the renewed covenant, then we can be more relaxed, because those laws regarding the previous covenant, the laws given by Moses, those were meant only for the camp's usage. We are then saved by faith, and the faith we find practicing the renewed covenant. We Gentiles, we don't have a covenant, a damn covenant with Abraham. We are only part of the faith related with the belief through the area of faith. That's why in the renewed covenant then you find faith, mercy, and grace. Those are solely relations with the Gentiles, mostly because the set-apart Hebrews must be in their camps, exercising then the senses and also providing the ministrations to the Gentiles. So then we can be more relieved, because as long as we are encouraging and making sure the saved Hebrews set apart, they are then working in returning to their camps, then we've done our part. Because what we must expect from each camp are the ministrations of Ruach HaKodesh, and those must be through the set apart Hebrews. Those were the orders from the Creator Himself. And we must make sure we do our duties before the Creator. So then, the maximum era or area that we must then have in mind is then waiting at the gate of the Hebrews for further teaching. That's the maximum point we can ever do. However, we are only honored if we do our part, as then we would wait at the gate of the Hebrews. We must then encourage them to form camps, so then with a camp we can wait at the gate. Then the churches, that's where they are found. So then when we encourage them to return to their camps, then we've done our duty as Gentiles, because we wanted the ministrations and the words from the Creator. So then we can straighten out our lives and we can be encouraged further in the faith. A person then understands the fact that there is no validity anymore of synagogues or regular churches, because those areas, they were included when then the second service came to existence. Synagogues are no longer used. Churches are only found in the camps. And both areas then, they became combined. And then we understand from the scriptures that the set apart Hebrews, they must not involve themselves with the world's trade. However, they have the ministrations of Ruach HaKodesh, 7 spirits of Elohim, 7 functions. However, the Gentiles, they can't have ministrations, but they can have then the market, or the trades of the world. So then we begin to delineate where we stand versus then the set apart. So then we do our part, we do our duty before the Creator. We making sure that the Hebrews, the set apart, they are then sent back to their camps. Because there is no more reason for synagogues. Those were done away centuries ago. Synagogues were popular during the time of the Creator Himself, when He came in person. But then He incorporated those areas in the church as per the design of Moses, because came from on high. So then we would be then ministered. That's the word ministry, where it comes from, the ministrations of Ruach HaKodesh. But then the understanding comes then from the update in Hebrews, the 7th chapter, 12th verse. But as there is a change in the priestly line, so also is there a change in instructions of the Levitical priests. So then we understand that the Torah and the prophets, they were not abolished. The areas of the ritual of sacrifices were simply completed. So then there was then the continuation of, as if then you would complete a part of a project and you would go only further if you had then the previous era then completed. So then the continuation then brings to a transition, and we Gentiles, we are not part of it. And that's the point when we begin then scrutinize every area of the scriptures, because we want to know what is our part and what's not our part. So then when the laws were then completed regarding sacrifices and ceremonies, then there was a transition that had taken place. And then we read in Hebrews 7:12. We Gentiles, we are not involved in the Levitical services, but we must make sure that those set apart, saved Hebrews are, because we have then the ministrations for us. The Creator has made this way, so then the set apart, His own people, would minister to us. So then when we read Hebrews, the Megillah of Hebrews is the very update given to the Levitical priests, so then they would continue with the services. We Gentiles, we are not involved in it because we are not from the set apart. However, since we were saved in the Mashiach, we must make sure that the last standing orders then are put in place. So if the set apart Hebrews are playing games, we Gentiles are not. Because the deadly area of broken covenant is costing the world a lot. And we are not part of it. The Creator has chosen His set apart because He did so. So then they must maintain loyalty to the covenant of Abraham. That's their part. That's their duty. Our duty is faith in the Mashiach. That's why we are not involved in the Levitical services. But they are. Because when the Creator came Himself in person, He gave specific orders regarding then the church. They would go around, they would set up holy lands, and they would exercise the second service. Those orders were clearly given. And you would be surprised when the saved Hebrew brothers, they don't do their job. It is absolutely boring. You go to a Messianic congregation, it is repetitious. You can nearly puke at it. Because they repeat what they should not be repeating. They should be in camps exercising the senses and ministering to the Gentiles without pushing Torah, prophets, and writings in anybody's throats. But then if you go someday at the Messianic congregation, it is absolutely boring. There is no life in it. It's a pure lie. Because they don't understand the lasting standing orders. And if you try to explain to them, they try to turn around and push lies upon you. It is very frustrating because the Creator Himself gave them the orders. They should go around the world forming holy lands and then practicing the second service. Because the Creator, He did not ask for the third temple. He did not ask for the second temple, neither for the first temple. The temple was merely a gift. He didn't ask for it. It's not required. But what is required is the tent and the understanding of the model first set by Moses. The Creator is not interested in temple. In fact, He does not even want the temple. That's the truth of it. They are spending lots of money in these utensils and trying to rebuild this ridiculous third temple for no reason. It's not mandated. Read the scriptures for yourselves. No part in it stated the mandate of the temple. It does have a tiny reference in Revelation regarding then Yohanan going out and measuring it. But it's because it was the existing part of it that it was not mandated. And then the Hebrews, they take out of context. They are making up more stories, and then if you are part of a Messianic group, it is absolutely boring. Because when you receive the understandings from Ruach HaKodesh, it comes into your spirit. These people should be in camps exercising what they were told to do. And then it's repetitious, repetitious and repetitious. It's very boring. And then we begin to understand, boy, that's where the church came from. They should be in camps exercising those areas and then providing the Gentiles with the ministrations. Without pushing Torah and prophets and none of those upon the Gentiles or upon the world. They are not part of it. And then the rest of the Gentiles, they only come together for sharing their faiths. Because we were saved by faith, so then we practice faith. They came from the laws, so then they practiced the laws. But there was a transition done from the first to the second service, and in no point, in anywhere, you would find then a mandate to build the temple. So they are making up many kinds of excuses, and they try to make themselves important because they are building a temple. The Creator does not want a temple. What He wants is obedience from His lasting standing orders. But then we Gentiles must make sure for sure that these people, they are returned to their camps and then maintaining the second service. This is what the Creator is expecting from us Gentiles, because obviously the Hebrews, they're not doing their job. They're mingling themselves with us and making a heck out of the world. Not promoting hate whatsoever, but boy, they are doing wrong. They should be in camps exercising what they were told to do. And we Gentiles, we are not part of it. But we want for sure the ministrations. But then the ministrations, then the Creator Himself has chosen His people, speaking His language, His understandings, His senses, and then the ministrations, so then what He said then would be done, but they are not doing their part. So they get the best out of the land, and then the Gentiles, they should then exercise their faiths, they don't stand a chance. Because they are manipulated with set of laws and regulations that we are not even part of. So it's truly, the Gentiles is enough of these laws and regulations pushed upon them. Send these Hebrews back to their camps. They must return to their camps because it was an order from the Creator. We wish we could change this order, but we can't. Those were divine laws given. We can't change those. But then we must be smart. We understand the renewed covenant gospels. Those are only 10% of the entire time that He came to spend with the earth. Only 10%. So then we have to understand there is more than a half yet that is sometimes we don't even know of. And then the church model remain as it was from the time of Moses. But we are not part of those laws. Because our part is in the faith level, so then we can receive more ministrations. We receive words from heaven. So increases our faith. While then the set apart, they are in camps. Why? Because then you find in Revelation the 20th chapter 9th verse. By the time only remains the camps and the beloved city. We are gone resting with the Mashiach. So it shows we must take action and then send the Hebrews back to their camps. Those were the orders from the Creator. So then in the 11th verse of the 7th chapter, therefore perfection was then by means of the priestly line of the Levites, in the situation that the Torah was imposed upon the people. Why was then another priest required who should stand up after the liking of Melchizedek? So then what they used to do in the first service, they used to push the Torah upon the people. But then the second service, they would not do that anymore. Because the very reason he came, so then they would not push the Torah upon the people. Because there was a transition of time from the first to the second service. We only maintain our faith and we receive the ministrations. That's it. That's our part. Not complicated. But then we must make sure then the Hebrews, they do their part, because they are involving themselves in trades of the world that they shouldn't. If you want more examples, read what the Creator himself did when he was given the chance of being a king. Those times when you were a king, you were involved with the trades of the world, and he was not sent for that reason. And we Gentiles, we have no part in it either. But we must make sure they are doing their duties because they were told to do. So then we resume our duties. What can't continue is we can't let these Hebrews anymore having their way in the trade of the world. Because the more we do, the more destruction comes upon the nation. It works at levels where the more they are influential, the more destruction brings. When they return to their camps, then the Gentiles, they were meant for the trades of the world, then they begin to regain some control. Because then the covenant of Abraham is honored. So these areas must be yet placed in each mind, so then we begin to understand the spiritual significance of it. Much more coming up.